What's up, everybody? Gotta find my phone. Thanks for joining. All right, we're gonna get after it. We've had a rough week of college basketball, but an amazing week of NBA. Had a good on that wild card last week. Did all right, and really looking forward to this card. Been a big Belal Muhammad fan for a long time. Been a big Leon Edwards fan for a long time. So really excited to get after this one. Like always. Oh, obviously, you're wondering where Allie is. She's not feeling good. She's just had a kind of a cold. It's not COVID. She's not coughing or anything, but not feeling good. All right. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I saw some comments in the lobby while folks were waiting, so I know there were folks here, but I hope you guys can see this right now. Let me know if you can. We're going to start off with Witt. We correctly picked him as an underdog recently against Cole Williams. Really low-level fight there. Semmelsberger, he came in on short notice against Carlton Minus. So it's tough to know what to expect out of these guys. They're both guys that can improve big time really quickly. Semmelsberger's big. He's a much taller guy here. He had cardio issues against Minus, so if he can get those cleared up, it's going to look good for him. Witt, on the other hand, we've really seen him improving from a physicality standpoint, just his physique, so Witt has been looking a lot better. A lot of the experts are picking Witt to win, due to his wrestling. And I'm kind of leaning that way. Money's been coming in on him. He was a bigger underdog before, and like I said, he's just improving a lot. He's been training with James Krause at Glory. Glory. Glory MMA and Fitness. And we've seen guys really kicking butt out recently. Tim Elliott this last weekend. So I'm going with Witt as well, calling it the first underdog pick of the night. Let me know what you guys think. Semmelsberger could definitely get the knockout here. We've seen Witt with durability issues in the past, but I think he's going to come in with a great game plan. Small cage here definitely favors Witt, I think. I think he's going to have a pretty easy day here. Kendall, Billy, what's up, guys? Thanks for joining. That money is flying to you this week, Billy. It's got wings because it's flying to you away from the bookies. As long as you stay away from this fight. We got Gloria versus Jinh Frey. Gloria DePaula, a lot of folks are really excited about her. She's got big time potential. She's improving. She's dating Mario Barella, and she's a stud. Jinh Frey, really kind of undersized for the division, as we know, and atom weight. And I think Gloria, it's interesting. Whichever one is able to implement their game plan, they're going to have a really easy day. I don't think Jinh Frey is going to be able to grapple enough here. And when she had to strike against Luma, Luma is a really good striker, but when Jinh Frey has to strike, she doesn't look really good. So I think Gloria is going to be able to stay on her feet, keep the distance. Gloria's got good submission game if it does hit the mat, but Jinh Frey, I think, wants to kind of cage clinch here and make it greasy. I think that'd be her best bet. Let's see what else. Frey is just low volume. I definitely pass on this fight on DFS. I should have mentioned for Witt and Semmelsberger. I think they're both okay DFS plays, especially Witt. Anybody have a strong lean on this? Anyone have a strong lean on this Gloria versus Jinh fight? Let me know. You know that I'd pick Jinh Frey if I could, because her name's Jin, like our puppy, but I think Gloria is going to get it done here. Got my Avalanche beer. Okay, another tough one here. Another tough one to tape study too. JJ Aldrich versus Courtney Casey. We've known Courtney Casey for a while. She's got good volume, good consistent pressure going forward. JJ's got the nice crisp hands. And it's kind of interesting. You just don't know what to expect. Like, I guess you do know exactly what to expect. Just kind of a striking affair here, which I think JJ would get the edge. But both of these fighters have been taken down, and we've seen them both get takedowns. I think JJ isn't necessarily just striking or bust. I think she can wrestle a little bit here if she needs to. But you can say the same about Courtney Casey. It's a really tough one. You know, we've seen Courtney with just zero takedown defense here, but I think she, in her mind, she's stronger here, and she's, I think, gonna try to grapple. But you'd have to be crazy to want to strike with JJ. I just don't think it's. I don't think it's gonna happen here. Similar height and reach. Courtney's a little taller, but reach, I think it kind of evens out. They say that JJ's got a half-inch reach. Courtney doesn't exactly fight tall. Like I said, I do like her consistent forward pressure, but she doesn't use that reach like you might think. They're both, she is pretty tall for the division, but they both got pretty long reach for the division. So I do have Witt in some bets. I do intend to play Witt on DFS, but these two last fights are total passes for me. If I had to pick, I pick JJ and Gloria, like I said. Dustin, yeah, Allie's sick, but she is going to be watching the fights. We're looking forward to them. Tucker by decision. I like that. We'll talk about it. Tucker reminds me a lot of Dominic Cruz in a lot of ways. Obviously, his striking, his movement, his footwork and stuff. His kind of looping hooks, looping hook combos and counters. His striking reminds me a lot of Dominic, but also his fight IQ. Dom was a nice underdog pick by us last week too, speaking of which. All right. Gloria by decision. Yeah. Freya, we've never seen her really have that knockout power. Could she TKO her on the ground? Possibly. But I think Gloria's got good enough scrambles that she would at least stay safe from ground and pound. Yeah, and we'll be putting out props on IG. I got to still look at some more props. We'll talk about a couple here, but I like to find those nice safe props, and then the crazy 16-1s. We've hit a couple of those in the last couple months, and we came so close to a couple. I remember somebody was about to choke the guy out exactly like I predicted, and then he got out of the rear naked choke. But some of those really greasy submission props, round props, can be really nice. And we'll talk about some draws. Let's go ahead and talk about it right now, because these last three fights I think are all viable draw candidates. They're all probably going to go to decision. You can find the draws a lot of times for plus 5,000, but I think it's DraftKings has them for plus 6,600. So all you need is one in every 66 plays to become a draw, to go to a draw. And if you are just looking at those fights that we're going to go to decision, they hit way more often than 1 in 66. They hit like 1 in 20. We've seen lots of opportunities lately for judges or for refs to take points away, and they haven't. There's a lot of conversation just about the refs in general lately, after the, Mark Smith with the Jan Aljo situation. I think these refs are kind of on a hot seat, and I don't think they want any super controversial stuff to happen, that includes, taking away a point. They don't want to affect a judge's scorecard in that way, but they're kind of due to do it. They haven't recently. There's been some blatantly illegal stuff going on, and they haven't deducted. So I could see the refs taking a point away this week, and I could see the judges continuing to give these crazy 10-8 rounds like they have been. I think draw candidates are very live all the time recently, but specifically this week. And there's a few fights on here where we've got somebody with a big time edge in one area, but terrible cardio. Well, that sounds like Cody Stamen, Chris Gutierrez type of situation, like where you're going to see a really lopsided fight from one half of the fight to the other half. And we've got some people who do illegal stuff. And if we ever, actually see somebody deduct a point, that can obviously result in a draw as well. We're not going to see any 10-10 rounds, but we'll see lots of 10-8s lately. All right, let's move on. And what a nice way to make that Courtney Casey and JJ Aldridge fight actually worth talking about. Let's talk about some draw props. All right, Nasrat, that was just trying to take him off the takedowns, piecing him up, and kind of like talking so swaggery in there. Really great striking. He was supposed to fight recently. Can't recall who. I can see Tapology here, and it got canceled off. But I remember multiple pros were picking. Against Sarukian. Nasrat was the underdog there, but some pros were picking our Nasrat to beat Sarukian there, because when you see this guy warm up, when you see him train, he just has the fastest hands that they can think of off the top of their head. He's got crazy fast hands, crisp combos, good cardio, good fight IQ, doesn't get overzealous when he hurts somebody. Great takedown defense. So, Hoffa, he's a beast. He's really big. But, he was having trouble getting guys down to the ground earlier in his career. I think that's what he needs to do here. Nasrat was supposed to be bigger than him, but at the stare downs, Hoffa looked like a monster, kind of equal size here. And, he beat Humberto Bandone, who's a good striker in Combate, but, he was having trouble getting some of these guys down in Combate. So, he's a stud. His record is not full of a ton of cans. These Combate guys are good. Fight for Glory is an okay little promotion. So he's a stud. He's a good prospect. This is a legit fight here, and Nasrat's a little wide, like a lot of people will say, but I think Nasrat's really, really safe here. He didn't look stellar at the weigh-ins, but I think Nasrat's really good here. A couple of folks on IG were saying that you're crazy to play Nasrat. So I don't know if that's because if it's a fade on Nasrat, if it's a fade on this minus 400 line, or if they actually like Garcia here. All right. So I'm taking Nasrat. I've got him in parlays. I can see him winning, by decision or KO here. So I'm staying away from props largely on it. I might play, like a round 3 Nasrat KO or something. I got to take a look at the props still. All right, let's see what we got next. My sheet is a little out of order from what Tapology has, so we're going to keep going off of what Tapology has. All right, I think another big-time draw candidate, another big-time favorite. Much more sketched out about. We got Hani Yahya versus Ray Rodriguez. We've seen Ray Rodriguez, subbed by Brian Kelleher like in the first minute recently. Previously, he got taken down and subbed by Chris Gutierrez, who's not known for his grappling. He's known for striking and, that vicious calf kick, of course. This might look like the easiest fight of all time, for Yahya. He should take this guy down and sub him like in 90 seconds. I bet the round 1, Hani submission is not even that wild. It's probably like plus 300 or something. You know what I mean? Like he's expected to sub Ray round 1, but Hani he did not have a good weigh-ins in my opinion. A lot of you probably heard Clint talk about it too. Sit down to take off his pants. I'm always looking for how they balance. It's tough to take those sweats off, with the elastic at the heel on one foot. When they're able to do that just fine, it kind of bodes well for them. It shows that they have good balance and they're looking good. But when he had to sit down to take his sweats off, he took water up with him, like to the scale area. And so the second he was done weighing in, he was drinking water. It's a little concerning for, if you got money on Yahya. Also, we've seen his cardio fail him in the past big time. So, this one, I don't have Yahya in any parlays. Typically when I look at a card, the first thing I look at is those big favorites who I think money is going to continue to pour in on, and I want to kind of get them early. And so Yahya was one of the first ones I'm looking at here, and it's just red flag after red flag. So, you've seen a lot of people picking Ray Rodriguez, Clint picking Ray, like 3rd round finish. I totally could see that. This has, Rodolfo Vieira vibes written all over it. So it's an interesting stylistic matchup. It's interesting matchmaking in my opinion, because, it's not like the UFC wants Yahya to, he's not a future title contender. He's over the hill, and they're giving Ray Rodriguez what on paper seems to be the worst possible matchup for him. Surely Ray Rodriguez is in there, training his grappling day in, day out, but it's just a really tough one. Let me see if there's anything else here that I'm forgetting to mention. Yeah, I mean, the other thing to mention about Yahya, though, that bodes in Ray's favors is kind of a guard puller. He doesn't really just have that wrestling. So if Ray can use his, nice technical striking, keep it on the feet, Yahya is going to be pulling guard, looking at the clock early in round 2 and getting finished. It's a really tough one. I'm staying away largely. But I think early Yahya submission props and late Rodriguez KO props look really, really likely. All right. We're making good time here. All right. We got Charles Jourdain versus, I think it's Marcelo Hojo. If they speak Portuguese there, then it would be pronounced Hojo. But in Spanish, it'd be Rojo, of course. Rojo's, so I'm going to call him Hojo. Hojo's got good kind of forward pressure and striking. He's got good combos, good kicks, kind of on paper, he looks like a better grappler, and he's known for his grappling. He's got, some submissions early in his career, but lately, his striking is looking better and better. He's kind of a live dog here. He is. I'm big on Jourdain. In his last fight, he was like a minus 400, and we thought he was going to torch. I think it was Josh Coulibaugh. I was posting reels on Instagram of Coulibaugh, and that was, there were a couple big favorites on that card, with really tough fighters as the underdog, and Coulibaugh was one of them. But Jourdain, got through it barely. What was it, a draw? I can't recall off the top of my head. But I remember I had Jourdain in parlays, and he didn't ruin them, but I kind of feel like it was a draw. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, so it was a draw against Josh Coulibaugh. Those void. I think those draw props are viable. Maybe in this fight, but both these guys are finishers. To be honest, I think this fight is likely to end inside the distance, which doesn't always happen at this weight. Finishers, lots of KOs. So maybe I won't be placing a draw bet on this one, but I could see it because Jourdain could style on him for 2 rounds and just piece him up. He's got that power left. He's a southpaw. Really just nice power striking. But then if he gets tired, if Hojo can get him down, you could see we have seen Jourdain fade a little bit. He's got solid cardio most of the time, but we have seen him fade. I got it in my notes. I don't recall exactly which fight off the top of my head. So I got Jourdain. We've also seen Jourdain's takedown defense a little suspect, though. So I think he's kind of just got one path to victory, which is to piece up, Marcelo. Marcelo, I think, has more paths to victory here. I've got Jourdain winning. I think he's going to be able to keep it on his feet, and he's going to have a edge here. He's just more technical and got more power. But, Hojo's got nice forward pressure and pace, nice volume. It's going to be a tough one. I think they're both good DFS plays. See, without Ali, I'm not hitting my props. I'm not talking about DFS, so I apologize. But we'll post it on ID after this. I think these guys are both pretty good DFS plays. All right. Next up, this is a really good card, actually. I think people are kind of sleeping on it because, no one's seen Leon Edwards in a long time, of course, but, because he's getting more popular recently, household name a year ago. People are kind of sleeping on this card, but there's just a lot of bangers. Like the whole main card is really good. The third women's fight here, Angela Hill versus Ashley Yoder. I was disappointed when this fight. I was kind of disappointed, kind of relieved. I was big on Ashley Yoder the last time this fight got announced. The line came in a little slimmer this time. Money is poured in on Angela again to make her minus 400 or whatever she is. But Yoder is a beast. We've seen Angela Hill. All of her fights are close. Like, she never just blows anyone out of the water. She did have good takedown defense against Michelle Watterson, against Claudia Gadelha. I think Claudia Gadelha was only like 1 for 4. But I tell you, if Yoder gets one takedown, she could win a round. I think Yoder is live here, too live to just spam Angela Hill into all your parlays. We're going to have Yoder in a couple parlays this week, and hear me out. We've talked about it, especially this year while these underdogs are winning. If you want to get a parlay up to like plus 1,000, if you want a long parlay, well, last year you would do that by having 7 favorites, right? Or maybe 6 favorites and a really steamed over, a women's fight to go over 2.5 or something. This year, those are not the parlays that are hitting. The sharks, the whales, that have the biggest unit size and, really hit these huge props. They've always done it this way. They've always done 2 favorites and a huge underdog. Those are hitting, those always kind of hit fine. But it's because they didn't know. They were just looking at the data. They didn't know which underdogs really had a chance and which favorites were overrated. Like, we consider ourselves knowing that. We avoided a lot of huge favorites that lost recently. But they would just look at the math and they'd say, no, on paper, like, they didn't care. They don't know who these fighters are. It's just fighter A, B, C, D, E, and F. And, they would that's how they always kind of did the math on their parlays. Well, this year, those are the parlays that are hitting 2 favorites and a big underdog. And that's how you get your wildly long parlays. So, it's a little bit of a change of philosophy, but I think, it's just, it's a much more consistent and much more likely way that these parlays are hitting this year. So like Alexis Davis and 2 favorites, Tim Elliott and 2 favorites. Tim Elliott ended up becoming pretty much a pick 'em, of course, but those are the ones that are hitting. So, the trick is obviously finding those most reliable favorites, obviously, and then those underdogs that have a chance. And I think those three leg parlays are the way to go, especially this year. So, everyone knows Angela wants to keep it striking, use that Muay Thai, use her nice. She wants to keep it on the feet and use that nice striking. Yoder wants to make it greasy. Yoder is vicious, though. I remember I had that Miranda Granger fight to go to decision. Pretty sure Miranda Granger. And I had that in parlays, and I was so freaking nervous that Yoder was going to finish her. Miranda Granger. So, and her physique has really changed in the last year. She's just looking shredded. I think Yoder's underrated. I think Angela's always been overrated. Again, Angela shows good takedown defense when she really needs to, but if Yoder can time it well enough, I think she can get nice trips. I think she can hold her up against the cage here. The smaller cage should favor Yoder. All right. Eric Anders versus Darren Stewart, super sketchy one here. Everyone loves the dentist. Stewart's really just well-rounded. He's got good transitions. He mixes the whole game together well. Good pace and pressure, good striking, good cardio. He got that takedown against Kevin Holland and, won that 3rd round when Kevin Holland had gassed. Eric Anders has been around a long time, former football player, as we know. It kind of seemed like he plateaued and reached his ceiling a long, long, long time ago, and he's never improved. But he did make the recent camp change to Fight Ready. They're the ones who they've got a lot of good fighters, but most notably Cejudo. Taking these wrestlers, taking these kind of raw talent guys, and really turning them into true mixed martial artists. Eric Anders looked shredded at weigh-ins. A couple months ago, he was supposed to fight Antonio Hoyo and ended up, not being able to fight. He had trouble making weight, and then the doctors called it off the next morning. Well, he didn't have any such trouble yesterday. Eric Anders looked absolutely shredded. Of course, Darren Stewart always does. But I think this one's a little sketchy. Everyone's is high on Stewart, but money's not exactly pouring in on him like you'd think. I think Eric Anders is pretty live here. I think this is a draw candidate. So they both had, when we were watching tape, Eric Anders had the fight where the guy's getting up off the ground and he head kicks the guy and knocks him out cold while the guy still had a hand down. Like, just as bad as Jan, a little different because, Jan was like in that stall position. Sterling was just kind of playing, I won't say playing the game, but he was stalling there. Eric Anders and Darren Stewart both have similar knockouts, but it was more fluid. It was like the guy really trying to get up. So Eric Anders kicked the guy. Darren Stewart, it was a knee to the face when the guy was going from turtle, taking punches. He tries standing up, and Darren gets him with that knee to the face and knocks him out cold. Let me see who that must have been. Knee KO. I'm not seeing it. Yeah, well, who would that have been? Eric Spicely. They say punches, but it wasn't. I don't know. So, they both have something of suspect finishes by knee and kick to a downed opponent. Darren Stewart, we saw him grab the cage against Kevin Holland. I think this has draw possibility written all over it. Could I see Eric Anders winning the first 2 rounds? Some cage control, and then Darren Stewart actually absolutely styling on him round 3. Totally. So this one's sketching me out. I don't have this one like in any parlays. I don't have Darren Stewart in any parlays. I don't think Eric Anders is wide enough of a line or reliable enough of an underdog to really play him. So, I've stayed off this one completely. Yeah, it was Tim Williams, Eric Anders versus Tim Williams. Go back and look at that one. And tell me that one's not illegal. But again, it was more fluid. It's a little more excusable, I suppose, than the Jan one. That was just so crazy. All right, but absolute draw possibility in this fight. Okay, just a couple more here. Snowing outside. We're gonna have a beautiful snowed-in weekend. Really looking forward to these fights. They start early today too, everybody, so be aware of that. All right, we got Manel Cap versus Mateus Nicolau. Nicolau was in the UFC back in the day. He was like 3-1 in the UFC, and then got whatever, kicked out, got fired. Cap, I think he's like the most overrated fighter in a long time. He was the alternate for the title fight. In Fight Island a couple months ago. I picked against him against Pantoja. Pantoja is the underdog, which was wild. Manel Cap is low volume. He's like a little showboaty. Like, I think he just thinks he's way better than he is, because in Ryzen or whatever he was in, he was just beating everybody up. He's wearing wrestling shoes. He's in a ring. I was really doubtful that he was going to come in barefoot in in an octagon and be his old self. He did say he was having trouble with the footing and with the grip. I think Mateus Nicolau is a really live dog here. He's really well rounded. He's got good ground game, but good diverse striking. I think underrated striking. I think Cap's got actually overrated striking. Cap is kind of like not first round knockout or bust, but I think he's knockout or bust. Pardon me. He's kind of looking to counter. And Nicolau kind of likes to counter as well, and he's looking to counter and get a takedown. But Cap's not going to overextend here. I think this could be the least entertaining fight on the card, and there's 3 women's fights. Pardon me. So I think Cap here cannot be trusted. I think Nicolau is absolutely live, as I mentioned. Go ahead and make him an official dog pick here. Yoder too. I'll put my money where my mouth is. Yoder's an official dog pick. I got so many notes here. Sorry. Yeah, we have seen Nicolau chin checked in the past, so he's got to hold up. He can't take a vicious left hand from Cop, but I think Nicolau is going to get the job done here. All right, Nick, thanks for joining, buddy. On FanDuel, round 1 or 2 sub is plus 360, plus 650. Thanks, Billy. Yeah, I like those. Yep, I like those a lot. Yeah, it's interesting. I mentioned I think I guessed plus 300 on the round 1. That's I think that's accurate. I think 360, there's good value there. I think he does submit Ray Rodriguez in round 1 once at least, if they run this back 3 times. I think he gets it done 33% of the time. At that probability, you only need him to do it like 2 out of 9 or something at plus 360. I think he submits Ray Rodriguez in round 1 at least twice if they fought 9 times. All right. Jonathan Martinez versus Davey Grant. Really good one here. Davey Grant, known for his grappling. Small cage should favor him here. But Jonathan Martinez, I've bet against Jonathan Martinez 2 times in a row, and he made me pay for it. The first time he came in like 5 pounds heavy. I think that was against Frankie Saenz. And first of all, I didn't like that. It's not like he missed by 1.5 pounds and actually tried. As soon as he got to 5, he said, "I don't care. Take some of my purse because I'm gonna come in here and win and get that win bonus anyway." So I kind of didn't like that. And then last fight, Thomas Almeida, I thought Thomas Almeida was just better, and I was wrong. So Jonathan Martinez is a stud. He's kind of this new wave, this new evolution of fighters. They're well-rounded. He's got knees. He's got the perfect strike for any situation he's in. Really diverse game, but just absolutely technical and kind of always in control, very poised. Davey Grant is solid. But I think Jonathan Martinez can absolutely get it done here. It's interesting. We've actually never seen Davey Grant knocked out or beaten by decision. Sorry. He's only lost. He's 10-4. All 4 losses are by sub. So it's kind of crazy to think that, Jonathan Martinez, a 6 striker, is going to come in here and sub this grappler. But, it's interesting. Davey Grant gets submitted by like wrestlers. He's not even getting submitted by jiu-jitsu stars. He's getting submitted by wrestlers. So, he's had some suspect cardio on tape. And, I think Jonathan Martinez could truly win anyway here. I think Martinez is just parlayable, just the money line parlayable. And I wouldn't get too greasy with the props here. Let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, and Davey, even though when he does get these guys down, we've seen him reversed by pretty low level guys. So small cage favors Davey, but I think it also just increases the likelihood of Martinez finishing by knockout here. So got Martinez. I'll say by KO, but I'm not betting that prop. Ige versus Gavin Tucker. A really good one here. Ige on paper, on his resume is just way better. It's funny, he seems like the wily old veteran, but he's actually younger than Tucker, who kind of feels like the prospect here. Tucker, I have a high opinion of Billy Quarantillo. Tucker made it look easy against him. Tucker, as I mentioned, similar to Dominic Cruz, he in his striking and his fight IQ in a lot of ways, but he will throw combos that start with a hook and end with a straight punch. And when you get people guarding those outside hooks, those looping punches, all of a sudden that second straight right comes right up the pipe. It's such an effective style that he has, and it's just completely unorthodox. You're used to defending that jab, and then the hook comes, and he does the exact opposite as I'm describing. I think Tucker's just going to have better scrambles. He had a very nice clinch game. We've seen his nice clinch game a lot of times. And I think he's got the more technical striking, the better footwork. Ige, I just have so much respect for Ige. He's like very good at everything, but he's not great at anything. And he's not just some freak athlete. He's not a crazy, jiu-jitsu star. He's not a crazy Muay Thai star. He's just so gritty, so hungry, so vicious, so durable. He has great cardio. I think this is fight of the night candidate for sure. Not even going out on a limb there, of course. This is a really exciting one. I got a big time opinion of Ige, but at some point, like we saw against, I think it was Cater, right? That can only get you so far. At that upper echelon of fighter, he has struggled really just Cater actually. So he was on a nice win streak before Cater, and it's interesting. Both these guys are used to fighting much bigger guys. They're pretty much the same size here, which I think they're both going to just find refreshing. So it's tough to pick against Ige here. I'm not heavy on Tucker by any means, but I do think he's going to win, and I think it's a big opportunity for Tucker. Ige is a popular, one of those upper echelon guys. This is a big opportunity for Tucker to kind of crack into that territory. So really excited about this one. Not too much more to say about it. You guys both know these guys well. They're both super exciting. It's a tough fight. The line is pretty slim, of course, as a result. Let's see if anybody's got any strong opinions. All right. Gavin Tucker is the official pick, dog pick. And here we go. The last two, Misha Serkinov, Ryan Spann. I picked Johnny Walker against Ryan Spann, and man, that was a rock'em sock'em back and forth affair. Cannot wait to fade Johnny Walker next because money comes in on him. He's exciting, but I think he's one of the least durable fighters in the UFC. And Ryan Spann is right there in that same territory. In fairness, we've seen Misha hurt before, but I think Misha is just absolutely going to win everywhere here. He's got better cardio. He's going to take Spann down when he wants to, and when he does, he's just immediate onto the back. We've seen Misha get hurt and have the poise to get a Peruvian necktie. Who was that? Sorry. I can't recall. I'd have to look. Serkinov getting hurt, gets the takedown, gets the transition. So he's got good offensive wrestling, but he also has the good defensive subs when he needs them. I think it's Jimmy Crute, obviously the Brute. Yeah, Jimmy the Brute Crute was putting it on him, and Misha was able to stay poised and get that submission. So I think Misha at minus 136 or whatever I last bet him at is some of the best value I've seen in a long time. I think he's like lock of the night, and there are some really wide lines on here. So if you're playing 10 parlays, I'd put Misha in like 8 of them. I think he's absolute like primary leg material. A lot of folks talking about Misha by sub. I like that. It's steamed pretty far now. So, and I think he could get a TKO here. I think he could win a decision here. I think, I don't think the sub is his only path. I do think it's a very easy and obvious path, and we've seen Span just beaten on the ground before. So I cannot believe that this line is so slim. Oh, and Span looked bad at weigh-ins. Span did the exact thing that I was describing earlier. He weighed in at 206.5 or 207.5. Like, he was so close to making weight and couldn't. That is when they tried. That is when that they were, on the bike, in the sauna, in the suit, trying to get that last pound of sweat out, and you can't. That's like the torturous, weight cutting that you hear about. It's not somebody that decided to come in 5 pounds heavy and have that edge. So I think Span, he's already chinny. That tough weight cut is going to decrease his durability, to say the least, and his cardio, of course. I think Misha is absolute lock of the year. And roast me. Kendall says by subs only plus 230. Yeah, that's yep, that makes sense. Such an expected path to victory here. I'll tell you though, if you're looking for a parlay, and you trust Martinez, or you trust a couple of these other guys, maybe you trust Angela Hill, whatever you're doing, that sub prop plus 230 is a great way if you don't want to pick the underdog. So I would say not to get too tricky in your methods. We've seen recently, guys tapping to strikes. Charles Ontivero got slammed by Kevin Holland, gets kind of knocked out in my opinion, but he couldn't breathe. It hurt his back and his neck, so he verbally submitted. You just see some really weird finishes sometimes. Also, even decision props. If you pick somebody to win by decision and then they draw, you lose that decision prop. Like Junyan Park versus Sam Alvey. Everyone was on Park by decision. Anyone who just had Park money line in the parlays, that play just gets voided. But when you pick those props, those method props, it loses your opportunity to have a voided bet on the draw. If the fight gets canceled, of course, it's voided. All right. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for joining. Hope this is helpful. And, we'll be putting out the props and parlays on Instagram like we always do. So please keep an eye out for those. And this last fight is an absolute banger. My God, if you guys watch the weigh-ins, the stare downs, this was the most cold-blooded stare down I can think of. They're face-to-face. Leon Edwards turns and flexes and puts his arm and elbow right in Belal's face. Belal played it pretty cool, just made it kind of a weird look, like he was chewing something or whatever. And then Leon just walks by him, smirks at him. It was just cold-blooded. Leon's always been a physical specimen, but he looks more shredded than ever. He's just been chomping at the bit. I'm not concerned about ring rust here, cage rust here. I think Leon's going to look like his old self. Belal, I like Belal a lot. The second that these props came out, me and my brother were talking about what's Belal by decision? What's Belal by decision? But he was just taking those vicious leg kicks a month ago. He just had to cut weight a month ago. Leon Edwards has been training for Khamzat, who wants to wrestle just like Belal wants to wrestle. Belal's a nice, well-rounded striker too, has great forward pressure and pace, but we know that Belal wants to get these takedowns and, control the fight. Leon's been training to, what I would expect, he's been training to sprawl and brawl for the last, months and months. So for a while, UK, of course, it is worth mentioning that he wasn't able to train, his old normal ways, but they're back in the gym. And if you've seen pictures of him, this guy's not been laying around. So he's a monster. He's got, Leon, he seems to see things in slow motion. He's got a beautiful check right hook when guys close the distance. He's a southpaw, of course. He's just so good at the transitions. He's good at mixing in the striking to the clinch, to the grappling, and all combinations of those things. He's always just kind of a step ahead. He's really just like chess, putting people in a position. He's like playing jiu-jitsu on the feet and in the clinch. And you jiu-jitsu guys know what I mean there. He's really just setting things up. He's setting traps. He's thinking 3 steps ahead, and he sees it in slow motion, and he can do everything. He's much bigger here, much longer, better striker. Belal has fought in 5 rounds in previous organizations, but Leon's got that experience. I really just think Leon is a super safe money line here. I would expect a decision, but 25 minutes is a long time to be in there. At welterweight, I think welterweight is the weight where it tips. Lightweight, it's more than 50% they go to decision. Welterweight and up, less than 50% go to decision. And that's in 15-minute fights. So, if you look at 25-minute welterweight fights, take out Tyron Woodley fights, and GSP, so maybe there's some variables here, right? But I would expect that this fight could finish. These guys are strong enough to make it happen. So staying away from props. I just think Leon is a nice kind of 4th or 5th leg for parlays. Recapping, Misha, lock of the year. I think Nicolau is one of the better underdogs. It's not the widest line ever. Honey Yaya, I think, is an absolute apple pie shitter, as Cody Saptic would say. I think that guy can ruin a lot of parlays, but if he just goes in there and does what he's supposed to do, it's gonna look like the easiest fight of all time. Maybe I just have Rodolfo Vieira trauma still. Lots of kind of good underdogs on here, but on the thin ones, Wit, Eric Anders, Nicolau, Tucker. Other than that, love Leon, love Misha, Jonathan Martinez. I'm pretty confident on. And Witt. I think I mentioned him, but Witt's a good underdog. It's basically pick him. I think he's plus 100 now. I thought that line might flip, and there's still some time, but looks like he's gonna, come fight time, it's gonna be a plus 100 or so. All right, appreciate you guys. Appreciate the chat here, Baby Yoda. Thanks for joining again. Appreciate all you guys in the chat. Thank you for watching, and let's get this wrapped up so it can get uploaded to YouTube. And enjoy the fights, and look for the props and parlays to come out on YouTube. And Ali will be back next week. Thanks, everybody. Bye.